Hello and good afternoon. It's Sunday the 26th and time for our very first sew-along with the bounty bag. Now I'm a little bit early, but I just wanted to make sure everything is working before we get cracking. So I'll wait for a few moments just to make sure everybody is able to get on. And oh yes, somebody's on. So if you'd like to say hello so that I know you're there and so that I know everything is working, let me just see if, no, let's go back into this here. Oh yes, there's a couple of you now. I want to make, oh, it's come up, fantastic. Right, so I can see, now again, whoops, wrong way. It may be that I can't see any comments only on my phone. Yes, we are. So what I thought, I will say, we'll only take a few minutes just to say hello to people, but we will crack on with what we are here to do. There's Mary, there's Kim, there's Jeeta, there's Karen and Linda. That's lovely. So if you say hello or say something or just put a like or a kit or do some words, because what I'm hoping is that my phone is fully charged and that I will be able to answer any questions as we go along. Or there's Violet as well, or Margaret rather, looking forward to it. Yes, I am too. I've been waiting all morning actually. And so hopefully I can answer as we go along, as long as it all holds out. Now I will say that the weather is not perfect. At the moment it's sunny, but it has been raining. It rained most of the morning and there keeps coming a few heavy drops of rain on the roof. Hello Virginia, hello Sally, hello Joanne, Catherine, Sharon, Isabel. Lovely, lovely. Oh, that's the door just shutting now. Need a little bit of breeze coming through. And also, hello Phyllis and hello Dorothy. Do you know, Phyllis, I always remember what your name is. For some reason, I just do. Princess Sonia is a beautiful name though. But hello Phyllis. Also, up the road from me is a racetrack. So every now and again, it's the Santa Pod one. Every now and again, there's a few bumps and a few whizzing engines. So excuse me if that happens as well. Hello Patty and hello Sandra. So as I say, I am a little bit early. There are 77 of us, I believe, which is lovely. Oh dear Sally, it has predicted a little bit of thunder and lightning for us too. So hopefully it won't affect us too much. Hello Jill and happy Sunday. And hello Carol. So what was lovely, I checked, cross-checked all the members of this group along with all the paperwork that I printed off at the time, and it all tallies. So everybody's in the group, so I shouldn't have to be trying to find or accept people into the group while we're doing this. We have had plenty of time, that's why I gave you a little heads up earlier this week to make sure you're in the group. So hello Kathleen, Rena, and Liz and Susan, watching from the caravan up in Scotland. I bet you've got lovely weather up there. But as I say, it's just clouding over. I've got blue sky that way, clouds that way. So hopefully whatever happens, it passes over quickly. Hello Yvonne, oh Lindsay's watching too. Hi Lindsay. Yes, so I'm hoping that I am ready and prepared. Hi Karen, oh it's pouring down with you. I was in two minds as to whether to go upstairs, which would have been less noisy, but I've got so much more space here to draw the, whatchamacallit, the iron up to me rather than upstairs. So, oh, I'm sure you will, Jack. I'm going to, Oh, it's been raining up in Scotland, okay. I shall be stopping and allowing you to sort of get on with it as well. So it won't be, it'll be a little bit more spaced out, rather, when I say spaced out, I will allow time in between rather than when I usually demonstrate, I just crack on and I just do this and do that. I'll be showing you a lot more times as to where the pieces go. It's very straightforward, so don't get worried about it at all. And you'll be, so that you can see exactly what you're doing. Also, if you printed instructions off as well, you've got that to have a little look at as well, just to confirm everything that I'm saying and you're saying. And what I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to go, excuse me, in the order of the instructions, so I won't forget anything. And you know, there's always a few different orders you can do it in, so when you've got bits to prepare that then go together. So we shall be doing it like that. Yes, hello Kirsten. Oh, there's Lindsay. Hiya. G2, you've never done anything like this before. Neither have I. So we'll get on great. We really will. Hello Carolyn. And also, there's been a couple of questions last night and shortly before. So, one of the questions, which you'll see in a moment, is somebody said they were missing some pieces, but I haven't responded at that. No, I've forgotten to do it today. Hi Rhonda and Christine and Lorna and Hayes. The pieces you have got are what you need, and if you check that with the instructions, you'll see it says one piece. So if it says one piece in the instructions, it is one piece you need. I do make mistakes every now and again, as you know, but I'm sure, I think it will be the first of many Sewalongs. Yes, I think we'll do. It's been very, very popular, so my thoughts are that you probably will like to do some more. Yes, so I'm sure I will. Hello Sharon, hope you're well. So you don't have to sew along with me. If you get to a point and think, oh my goodness, I can't go any further than this, just stop. You can always finish afterwards, or you can just watch and not do anything at all at the moment. Get yourself a cup of tea, some biscuits, so that you can just sit there and just enjoy. And once you've seen it being made, if you make it later with your instructions as well, it will all come back because you've seen it before, you've got the instructions in order, and it will all come together swimmingly. And one of the other things I was going to say was, when you opened up your box, if you bought a kit, what you will notice is I've put all the pieces that go together. So right on the very top, I've got my kit here, like this. And what you'll find is that the very top layer, whoops, that's taken those off. That very top layer there has got your flat pieces. So there's the flat front, there's the flat back, and there's the flat wadding too. So you've got all the pieces together, all lined up. And then underneath that, you will have found, well, there's two bits there, but you will have found for the side panels, so that's the accent piece, there's the lining piece, there's the outer piece, and there's the wadding strips. So I tried, and it's how I usually put my kits together, so that if there's pieces that work together, and they are those same pieces, the elements that go for that part, they are all together, just so it's not confusing. Hello Sue, and hello Bar of Chocolate, absolutely. I took them all out, took them all. Oh, you can take them all out, that's fine. Yeah, so I know some of you have looked in your box, but everything else should be there because I did them all together. So what I did, I got all the boxes out that I needed for the particular colourway, and I put the wadding piece in all of them. Then I put the lining piece in all of them, and because I knew the number, I counted it as I went, and then the outer piece I put on top and counted it as I went. So as I say, fingers crossed, everything should be there for you. I know I did forget a bag of hardware, but I found out who that is and I forwarded it on. Christine's watching. Lovely, Christine, that's great. Wendy, no, you haven't missed much at all, because I started a little bit early and I was just saying about what was in the box and how I'd put it all together, so all the flat pieces are together, and then underneath there you've got the outer pieces, and you have got, yeah, the outer and the lining for that. You've got the bag strap, etc. Everything should be there. So we've got 47. We'll give it another 3 minutes. We'll start at about 10 past, because there is a fair amount to get through. If I were making this without demonstrating and I got all my pieces cut, I would say it will only take an hour maximum, but that is with me knowing how I'm doing it and what I'm starting with, etc. When you don't know, it's new to begin with, but when you get to make your second one and your third one and your fourth one, you will then find things go together much, much quicker. Oh, never mind, Sue, not a problem. I'm glad you're here. Just watch when you can. Ready, steady, go, Jill. Yes. So the other thing you need to know is that this video will be in this group forever, along with the PDF at the top, so that you can download it again if you want to, print it off as many times as you like. All I would say, I know you are very caring, generous people, but please don't share it with anybody who hasn't paid to be in this group. It's just not fair on yourselves for others to get something for free when it's been paid for. Oh, you told your husband 4 hours, say, go away, Gita. Leave me alone for 4 hours. Lovely. Hello, Elaine. Not a problem, because I haven't started, but we shall start very shortly. What else shall I say there? Or Pamela's watching as well. So the first little bit that I shall be doing will be the bag strap. Now, many of you will have done that already many times, so you could either get cracking on it or do it along with me. You could be, if you've got your ironing board and iron ready, it's good to have that at the, to your side, rather than having to run upstairs or out into the kitchen or wherever and then run back again. I say we'll do the strap first, but what I'll do first, I'm going to iron the wadding onto the back of the pieces that need it. So let's see. Okay, which of the wadding have we got, please? Is it firm? It's fusible fleece. It's fusible fleece. You can use what fusible fleece, thermolam is fine. I find that fusible fleece goes easily through any sewing machines, and it gives body to the bag. Thermolam makes your bag perhaps a little bit thicker, but softer. It still gives body to it, and it's just a different, whatever you like to use. You could possibly use Styleville, the foam wadding, if you wanted to. That wouldn't be a problem. That will give it even more rigidity, or it will be even more sturdy. You're using your box lid for a stand for your mini iron. What a good idea. Okay, shall we begin? We've got 47 people, so I know there's quite a few that can't watch now, so I'm sure if anybody's forgotten, they can get straight into it. So let me see, I've got a little stand here, which means hopefully, oh my goodness, I can pop that. Oh no, I was going to pop it there, wasn't I? Oh, that's typical. There we are. So hopefully that stays on so that I can read everything in front of me to see what we're doing. Okay, so let's have a look then for what's in your box. As I said, the very first piece, if you've opened your box and separated them all out, you could perhaps put them together again. So we have got the flap piece, and then beneath that I've got the flap lining, which is the same as the outer fabric, and we have then got the fusible fleece. I'm just going to pop that to the side. I have then got my side panels, which this is the focal one. That's my lining. There, 2 pieces of each. There are my side panels, outer ones, and there's my fusible fleece for the side panels. Then I have my lining for the main outer bag. So there is my lining. There is my outer fabric. You've got 1 piece of each. 1 piece of your outer fabric, a long piece which is 7.5 by 16, and then you've got 1 long piece of your fusible fleece. So I'm going to take the ones that I want. So I want my fusible fleece along with my outer fabric, so it'll be navy or black, and we're going to fuse those together. So I'm going to put that aside on the ironing board for a moment. I am also going to, I should have done that as well, I'm also going to take from my side panels, I'm going to take my 2 navy or black with my 2 fusible fleece that I'm going to fuse those 2. And 1, 2, I'm also going to take, this is my flap. I don't need my flap outer at the minute, but I do need my lining piece. Or am I going to put it onto my lining? I might do. Really doesn't matter. But as I'm used to put it, I would usually put it onto the outer piece, but I'll put it onto doesn't matter which way you do it at all. In actual fact, no, I'm going to I'll put it onto my navy, so my canvas as well. So the other piece I've got the zip, and I've got the bag hardware in the bag. I have got my pocket piece, which is just 1 piece, which is going to fold. And the next thing will be for my bag handle. Now, I haven't put wadding in this because whenever I use canvas, I feel that the strap is absolutely fine, because the way we make this will be 4 layers folded so that there's 4 layers, and I think that's quite strong enough for a strap. So I'm going to pop that out of the way for the moment, but we will be working on that in a minute. So I am going to bring in the ironing board. There we go. So ironing board at the ready, and I've got my iron ready to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is, with my fusible fleece, the dotty side is where the adhesive is, and I never iron onto my wadding or fleece, whatever. So I'm going to put that down so the dotty side is facing up, and I'm going to put my canvas on the top, align all those edges, and then take my iron with steam if you've got it, because fusible fleece likes a bit of steam, and we'll just roll that over and let the heat get to the adhesive so that it's melting the adhesive and doing its job of sticking that to the fabric. So whenever we add wadding, a fusible wadding to our fabric, we always iron the fabric. So lay it so that you can iron the fabric. Never press onto your wadding. It will melt. So I'm just going to set that bit aside for a moment, and then I'm going to drop that piece. Okay, that would be typical. So then I'm going to take my long, so this is the main bag. Again, make sure my dotty side, so the textured side, is facing up. Lay that flat on your ironing board, and then align those edges like that, and give that a press. So I'm not pressing down hard, I'm just going slowly, whoops. So now you see, I didn't get that on quite straight. So you can, if you're quick, just pull that up just to make sure, that's it, the stickiness is still there. So let's just iron that backwards and forwards. Bit of steam, as I say, if you have steam. And it's very accommodating, I would say, in that it doesn't mind how long you press it. So I would give it a good 10 seconds and then set it aside so that it can cool off. Because at this moment it's quite floppy, but when you let it cool off, it becomes more structured. And then the last two pieces I'm going to do are my two back side panels. So again, check that. Only the other day I thought I was pressing, I'd got this side facing up and it was down, upstairs it was, and I stuck my wadding to the ironing board. So we're going to put our pieces on here. Now, if you're using patterned fabric, the pattern would be facing upwards. As there's no difference between the back and front of this, it doesn't matter. It's just a plain navy or black canvas. So we will roll that up and down. Just align those pieces very carefully. If you've got any excess wadding showing, you can just trim that back, but they should be fairly even. There we are. So there are my two side panels ready to go. So again, I'm going to pop those aside. So all those pieces now, there is my main outer. You can see that is much more rigid now. There is my flap, and there are my outers. So I'm making it easy. The only one that is your flap piece, if you want to iron the wadding onto the back of your focus fabric, absolutely fine, it doesn't matter either way. So I'm going to put them to the other end. No, I'm not going to put them over here because they're going to get in the way. Because the next thing we are going to do, so let's just see, I've got no comments coming up there. Suzanne's watching, that's lovely. And, oh, there's Janet. Don't worry. Don't worry, let's just see, is that the last comment? Yes, that's the last comment that's come up. Okay, so if you would like to, gosh, that's getting warm in here now. Let me just open that door a bit. And I might even, just while you're doing a little bit of ironing, I'm going to open a window so that I am not too warm. Oh, I think that's with the ironing that's making that. So, that's it. So I am back again here now. So give me a thumbs up when you have ironed your wadding onto the back of your outer fabrics, or in the case of the flap, the lining piece. And then the next thing, oh yes, we've got some likes, so you've got that ready. I'm just going to open this door down here. Get me a glass of water, please. Oh, there we are. I've got my butler just about to get me some water. I'm just going to open this door because I think it may slam, but here we are. Oh. Yeah. Something's going through. So let's just put these over here. Don't want the lines blowing away, do we? Okay. Get a bit more air coming into this. I'm not unhappy with the sunshine, but okay. Thumbs up, that's lovely. Hello, Patricia. That's okay, no problem at all. If you wanted to start, I've only just, oh, there's Sonia. Hello, Sonia. I've only just fused the wadding to the back of the main outer piece and the inner flap piece, or the lining of the flap, which is actually the canvas as well. and the side panels. So now I'm going to do my handle. So you have got a whole width of fabric for your handle, strap, whatever. And what I tend to do, I love to iron this or press this on an ironing board because I like the whole length of the ironing board to be able to do it. So this is what I do. I go, I think you can still see me. I take most of it to the end of the ironing board and oh, a drop of water to keep me going. I fold, so I've got the whole length along here, and then I fold this edge over to the other edge. So we're doing wrong sides together. So if you've got a pattern strap, this you would be able to see the pattern, the design. The wrong side is on the inside. So I can see, standing up, I can see that edge aligning there. So I press, and then I use my other hand to just push those edges, those raw edges together. And I'm taking my hand all the way down here. So I'm a little bit away from the iron, but I'm lining those raw edges with my other hand. And then once I've done that much, I pull it along so that I've got the rest of it on the ironing board, and I start again where I finished, and I'm just moving my hand to just push those raw edges so that they are perfectly aligned. Now the better you get this aligned now, the better it will work when it comes to doing the next fold as well. So I've gone all the way along the length. So then I'm going back to the start again, and I'm going to peel these apart. Just pull them apart like so, and we've got a lovely big crease up the middle. So I start with the side nearest to me, and I push that raw edge into that crease. Now I don't want it to go over the crease, I want it to go up to that crease. And if you can get it going into that crease line or just this side of it, all well and good, because when we do the second fold of all the pieces together, what will happen is those two edges in the middle are going to come together, and they do create a bit of bulk. So if you leave the tiniest bit before this side of the crease, it will fold together a lot more easily. So again, I'm just pushing my fingers to the middle or just a little bit further along, so that I'm pushing that raw edge into that centre crease, and a little bit of steam if you like, just to hold that together, and pull it along, and there we have one side now. So I've got one side that is folded into the centre, and now we're going to do the same again with the other side. So the other raw edge comes to the centre to meet. And if you just have the tiniest, can you see, I have it just about like that. So there's the tiniest little gap between the two, and that way, when we fold it in half like that, there's not too much. That little tiny bit allows that fold to happen. So again, with my left hand, I'm just pulling that into place, like so, and a little bit of steam. So let me just pull that up, so like so, and then I'll just put it a little further along, and just keep pressing that down. That little bit of steam helps it, gives it a good crisp finish. There we are. And keeps the edges in place perfectly. Okay, so we're nearly at this end. So if you've done that all nice and accurately, this part now is when we fold over, but in actual fact I fold it towards me because I like to look at this edge, I can see this edge, and I want it meeting perfectly. So when I fold that over, I want that to meet perfectly along that folded edge. And we'll give it an extra press. At this point you could add some best press if you wanted to. In fact I will, because I like a bit of best press. I love the smell. So let's just best press that along there, and then just give it another press. And I just noticed I keep my fingers in here, in between the two layers, so that I can just line that up perfectly. Okay, so this is where, if you want, I said about having 2 full bobbins. If you want to have your, a bit more on this, if you want to have your thread coordinating with your strap, so either navy or black thread, absolutely fine. But I'm going to stitch with a cream thread, so that's there. And then this is where, if you have got the bulk on this other side where the fold is, if you just hold that and get these double folded edges a lot closer together, it will be absolutely fine. So there I have got my strap, and it will be 1 inch wide. So let's just move that out of the way again. And then all we're going to do on this occasion is we are going to strip the handle. They were all in there. It's a long no. Right. You should have a 4 inch wide piece of fabric. I didn't notice any of those not. It was to the right hand side of the box with a pocket piece, which was a white piece of cotton. So you should have a whole width of fabric in navy or black. I didn't have any extra over, so I don't know how that's happened. Okay. Right, so here we have our strap. So you are 2. You should have a it was folded there underneath the white, because I put them all in the boxes in exactly the same way. And when I had 10 boxes, I cut 10 strips and I put into 10 boxes. All right, okay. So, I mean, the strap is the very last thing anyway, so, oh, thundering there. Oh my goodness, it isn't here. The sun is still shining. The door is shut, so there's not much breeze, but there we go. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to stitch down both sides. Okay. So, okay. That's irritating. It's a shame you hadn't opened up your box and checked off against the PDF yesterday when I put it up in the morning, but never mind. Okay, so I'm going to stitch, first of all, down this edge that I've just, where are we? There we are. First of all, this edge that folds together here, that's the first side I do. So I'm going to stitch down this edge and then down the other edge as well. So I'm going to put that under my presser foot. I like to do about 1/8 of an inch in from the edge, but if you want to do 1/4 of an inch, absolutely fine. So I'm just going to start stitching, and what I like to do is have my hands, you see I've got my fingers, or the strap, running between my fingers, so I'm holding it in a straight line. I'm not pressing down. I'm letting the handle slide in between my fingers as a guide. Let's just push that down there. There we are. So I'm going to put my fingers, or even one from each hand, like that, so that the strap goes between, and I've got these other two fingers just hovering above the handle, just to keep it nice and straight. And hopefully that way I'm going to get a very neat stitch line down the sides. So go as slow or as fast as you like, whatever speed you are used to sewing at, like so. I've also increased my stitch length to a 3, so it's a little bit longer rather than your 2.5, which is the default setting, and definitely not a 1.8, which I do with patchwork. So I'm just stitching my way. Oh, I've gone in a little bit there, but never mind, that's probably fun talking as well. So carry on down to the end. Now, not that this matters, but I haven't stitched into that selvage, and I'm not going to cut my thread, but I'm going to pivot round and just stitch across there to about 1/8 of an inch from the edge, because I'm then going to pivot round again, put all of the strap down here, and I'm going to come back down the other side. So this side is a lot easier because it's purely a folded edge. It's not two edges coming together. So let's just stitch down here. Looks gone in a little bit there as well. And I'm not going the fastest that I would usually do, but I'm just allowing the machine to make its way down here and hopefully give me, oh, it's gone very dark all of a sudden. I think the clouds have gone. And then I'll cut off at the end. So there I have 2 rows of, or a row of stitching down each side. Now sometimes I also like to stitch down the middle as well. So if you wanted to do that, you could do, or even 5 lines. If I were going to do more stitching on here, I would do the center line this time. So I'd gauge my foot between the 2 rows that I've already done, and then I would sew in between the 2 lines to this side and then that side, just to make it nice and easy, rather than stitching a line next to it, because you might not get even spacing. So if you were doing some more lines, now go down the middle and then go to the one side of those 2 lines, and then in between the middle and the outer line of stitching again. So let's see. Give me a hands up or a thumbs up when you have done that little bit too. So we are going to, once we've got the handle, all right, that's, oh, we've got some quick sewers here. Lovely. I'll give it another minute or so, just so that those that want to can catch up. Fabulous. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I think we could work in a sweatshop all together. Karen's done it as well. Fabulous. So what you could do is now get your bag hardware ready. And in your little bag, you will have 2 D-rings. So we're going to set those aside because we won't need those yet. We will be using the 2 swivel clasps, and we will be using the slider. The poppers, which I've popped into each of the kits, is so that everybody, it's just a large popper, everybody can use these, and they will be put on at the same point in time if you were using a snap that you'd pop on with your green machine, if you have a green machine. So rather than put those in and then people couldn't use them, I thought if everybody has a snap, absolutely fine, you can all finish your bags. But if you didn't want to use this and use your green machine with a popper instead, you can do. If you were wanting to use a magnetic clasp, I have put in the instructions the points at which you need to insert, you know, each part of your magnetic clasp before you actually finish off the last bit, which is closing the gap in the lining of the bag. And before you do that, you'd add the second part of the magnetic clasp or any other clasp. So this bag really is made up completely before you put your fastenings on, depending on what fastening you're using. You're only just starting. Can I start the next bit? Absolutely can, because the strap is the very last thing to be popped onto your bag, so absolutely fine. Okay, we're getting there really quite nicely. You've lost them. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I did put them in a little plastic bag, so I thought they would all be nice and safe and visible in the box. So yes, of course you can, Sue, not a problem at all. So we'll set that one aside, and the popper is just hand stitched on. You can see those little gaps here, and you can see how, let's see if we don't break my nail there. So you've got an innie and an outie, and in those little gaps there, whoops, I'm in the wrong place. In those little gaps there, you'll just do some over stitching onto the underside of your flap and on the front of your bag. Okay, so I'm going to pop that. In actual fact, I shall probably lose this, so I'm going to pop it back together again there, and we shall be ready. Okay, so the next little bit that we're going to do, if I can find, you know, I am the world's worst for not, oh, here it is. So this is where you need your scissors, because I am going to clip off the selvage. The selvage on canvas here is a little bit more coarse than the canvas itself, and I just think that if you left that on, which you could do, it's quite hard to stitch through. It makes it clunky. So I'm just going to trim the selvage at both ends. As well do both while I'm at it. Okay, so this one as well. Oops. Oops, that wasn't very straight, was it? Oh, for goodness sake. Just cut a nice, it's not the longest of, there we are. So I've cut both of the ends of my bag handle strap. I've cut the selvage off. So what colour thread do we need? You can do exactly what you like, Sue. If you want to use navy, which most times I would do, but I'm afraid I was being a bit lazy having to change my thread. So I've used, navy would be really good. You found them. Oh, excellent. Missed that. Excellent. So if you want to use navy on the navy canvas or black on the black canvas, absolutely fine. It does hide a multitude of sins to using coordinating coloured thread rather than contrast like I have. But on the other hand, for you, you can see where I've stitched. Oh, if I was holding it in the right place, you can see where I've stitched rather than if I'd used navy on here. But saying that, when it comes to doing top stitching, let me just show you this bag here. So when I've done top stitching around the top of my bag, so sorry, that way up, I've done top stitching in, I suppose I could have done it in the contrast, but I decided I would do that in navy blue. So it is entirely up to you. Okay, so next little, let's just move that there. So the next thing we're going to do, we need, the very first, whenever you're putting the sliders onto your adjustable strap, you always start with the slider. And I always pop the, so that is the right side of the slider where the bar is continuous. On the other side is where the metal is folded over. Can you see there? So to my mind, that's the wrong side. So I'm going to thread one end into and over. So there is the little bar, and I'm going to thread my strap over that bar. So over the bar, wouldn't really look any different the other way, but there is the wrong side of the bar. You can see where that finishes there, it's folded over there. But I like that bit to be covered. And then that way, you can't see, and you can't see, it looks identical on both sides. So I pull through about, let's see, just gauge it for yourself, but that's a little bit too much. Because I want to have the strap as long as it possibly can be. I've probably got 1.5 inches coming past there, so this is the wrong side. And I'm just going to fold that bit under, so I perhaps fold it under by almost 1/2 inch and flatten that out like so. Whoops. So I have folded this piece under, so it's going onto the underside of the bag strap, like so. There is my slider. So I need that to be fairly out of the way. So I have got about 1 inch there. Once I've folded it under, I've got about 1 inch. That gives me a good leeway to do my stitching. So if I had, I'll just show you what wouldn't be good, to fold that under there. That wouldn't be good. Can you see how close I've got that there? Because you need to be able to get the machine foot here, and this is going to be in the way. If you push it like that so it's out of the way, it's still in the way on the underneath, on the underside. So you do need to have about 1 inch. Let's just see, you can move it backwards and forwards till you're happy. So there we are. I have got, once I've got the slider there, I've got about 1 inch from there to there, which gives me ample room to be able to stitch. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch almost a rectangle. Well, I am going to stitch a rectangle. So when I stitch my rectangle, I am going to start, where is my little seam ripper? I'm going to start, we'll have a pencil then, at my stitching. I'm going to stitch across to the other stitching, and then I'm going to do 2 stitches along the stitching, and then back across to the other side to the stitching, 2 stitches down there. So it will be going over, I'm going over the stitching that I've already done, and then I'm going to do a second row along the very first. Now, as I do that, I'm actually stitching from the wrong side, so you want to make sure it's fairly neat on the top. So I'm just going to take that too. Let's see if I can get that in even closer. Oh, the light is glaring on here. Oops, never mind. So we can take our stitch length down to, or leave it at 3, or take it down to 2.5. And if you wanted to pull your thread out of the way so it doesn't bunch underneath, you can. So I'm going to, and I go slowly because you have got quite a few layers of stitching here, of fabric. So, right, I've reached my other stitch, my stitching there. So at this point, if your machine will go like this, I think I'll be okay. So I'm going to now, I've pivoted it, and I'm going to do 1, 2 stitches that way along my stitch line. I'm then going to pivot it round again so that I can come back. So I'm actually going to clip that off now. I'm going to come back across here. Now I've got ample space between my foot and the bag hardware. So just stitch across there nice and slowly, and I'm into my stitch line again. So now I can swivel that round, get that bag hardware out of the way if it is in the way, and I'm going to do 2 stitches there. So I'm going slowly so that I just get those 2, and then pivot again, and I'm going straight over that first row of stitching, and then I'm going to trim. And didn't cut my thread that time, but there we go. So then I'll just clip any little bits of thread there, and you have a rectangle stitch there. You've got your bag slider and the yeah, not the neatest, but just clip that little bit off. Okay, so what we're going to do now, so with my slider with the wrong side, so this is the where I folded over, or under rather, I'm going to go all the way down to the other end of my strap, which is here, and I'm now going to slot on a swivel clasp. So let's just pop that on. So pop the end, the opposite end of your strap into there, and then I'm going to pull that up to this end here. Okay, so let's just see. Now we can, if I've got my swivel clasp on the wrong way round, it will move. It will go like that. We can put it like that, but that's before we stitch the next part. So all I'm going to do is make sure that the bag handle is not twisted. So there, that, like that. So I've got this bit here, I've got my slider, there is my slider, and there is my other end. And so the other end is just where I want it to be. The other end has got, this is my piece that I've turned under. So I'm now going to thread this end into the slider again and over. So I'm coming out and over the other side. Whoops, it's easy to pop it in there. There we go. And then just pull that through. So if you open it up now, where we've turned the end back to attach the slider, it is underneath there and hidden. So then we can pull the slider to lengthen or shorten our handle. And then if we take it all the way down to the end, my swivel clasp is on the right way. We want it to be just like that. So you've got your swivel clasp here. There is my slider. Now I'm going to slide it. If you slide that up a little bit so we can see. So we do have to make sure, there's the slider, because we're going to put the swivel clasp, the other swivel clasp, on this end. So you do need to make sure that it goes on the right way here, because we're going to do similar to when we joined the slider. Okay, so I've got it there. So I know that my swivel clasp needs to go on here, so I'm tucking that end in, and that way. So my folded piece is underneath there, and I can see that my swivel clasp is on the right way. There's the slider, the right side, and there is my swivel clasp. And if I now turn it over, we're going to do the same as we did with the slider in the very first place. So again, we can tuck a little bit under so those raw edges are hidden, like so, about 1/4 to 1/2 inch. And I'm now going to do exactly the same stitching across here. Hopefully I can do this one a little bit neater. So again, let's just get that thread out of the way. So I'm starting near that fold, and I'm starting on that stitch line as well. There we go. And we will just stitch across here. Okay, so I'm going fairly slowly, and I am practically, there we are. So I'm into that stitch line this side, turn it around. I'm going to clip that off, and we'll do 2 stitches along the stitch line, and then turn that round again, and we'll stitch across to the other side, up to that stitch line again. And my stitching is just, that's it. And then I'm going to swivel again so that I can stitch 2, 1, 2, and I'm down that vertical stitch line there. And then I'm going to go across the very first stitch line that I made just to give it a bit more strength. There we go. Okay. My thread cutter doesn't like trimming today. Right, so I'll trim that little bit off there. And if there's little bits of thread there and there. So we've got our vertical little box just across there, holding our swivel clasp. So there we have our handle. Okay. Our, whoops, that's it. There we have our extendable handle to whichever length you would like that to be. Okay, with our swivel clasps on each end. So we can now put that aside because we're ready to do the next bit. So, can you do the slider again? Can you show how to add the slider again? I've added, let me see if I can find a slider to show you. Right, where have I got? Bear with. Right, there's a little bit of fabric. Okay. Right. Let's just pretend. Let's pretend this is our bag handle. Okay. So bag handle slider. We are going to put the slider, this part you mean, over that bar. Okay, like that. So I've threaded my handle through. So this is the very first step. Yeah, you can watch it. Oh, you're okay now, are you? Okay. And then you want to fold that back and fold that little piece under so you're hiding the raw edge. Okay. And then you're just going to stitch along there. Let me get a pin. So we'll stitch along there. Right, so it's attached and it's stitched. Then you will add your swivel clasp to this end, and then you're going to fold this up and thread it through the slider again, like so. Okay, so you just need to imagine there's a swivel clasp on this end where my finger is, and you slid it through again there. Okay, so are we okay with that now? Oh yes, we found that. That's good. I'm glad I got my phone here because that makes things easier. Erica's okay. Are you okay with that, Jeeta, as well? Let's just see. All right. So just another little recap. Yeah, we're okay. So I've popped it through. Fabulous, Jack. Fabulous. Okay. So that's got that little bit done. So how are we? Have we all finished our handle, or are we just doing that now? I know, as I say, it's something that we have done many times, but perhaps you've watched me do it but haven't done it yourself. So not a problem there. So now that we've finished the handle, lovely. Okay, we'll wait till just a few more have done that, and then I think that was the first thing. Let me have a look at my instructions now. So the instructions, make the strap, we've done that. Okay, all right. So the next thing we're going to do is the flap. I was just about to do something different there. Okay, so let's pop that just there. We have to as my machine. Oh no! And Wendy says, first time doing. Oh, jolly good, Sally. That's it. Fabulous. And who else has finished? Karen's finished. Jolly good. Jeeta has. Isabel, Jill, Karen. Brilliant. You're all doing really, really well. Oh, your sewing machine's got the huff, has it? Okay. Takes you back to COVID days, I know. Do you know, I loved COVID days, I must admit. Obviously, a very, very different time in our lives for all of us. And you attach the wadding to the main bag. I'm following the pattern. I attach the wadding to the main bag and the top flap. Do I attach to the patterned fabric? For the side? No, not for the side. The sides you do the outer. So we're going to do that shortly. So it's not this fabric. You want the outer base fabric here. You attach the wadding to either your navy or your black. So not this part. Okay. Righty ho. So Mary's done too. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, that's a bit of thread there. Right, I'm going to set my strap aside. I'll probably lose it. So, Right, the next thing we're going to do is making the flap. So the flap. So for the flap, we need our small rectangular piece. It's 7.5 by 8.5. Just bring that up just a little bit. So it is 7.5. Looks different on my phone to on here. So we want it 7.5 across by 8.5 down. So the longer length is the length of the flap. 7.5 across, because this is going to fit this is going to be, let me just show you why. So this is our main bag piece, this long piece. So our main bag is going to be like that. The flap needs to fit across here. So the width of our main bag is the same as the width as our flap. The length of it is because when there's gussets, it just brings that up so that the flap is a little bit above the bottom. So our flap piece, the 7.5 inch, is our top, which is joining to the top of the bag. Let me just trim off that little bit. So I've got a little bit of wadding crept under there. So if you've got any excess wadding creeping from under your flap piece, just trim that away. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to line up this is my outer, my flap fabric. I'm just going to line these up. So I'm going to put the flap piece on the top because I want to curve the bottom of my flap. So here is my top, this is the bottom. So if you are using a directional fabric, this one is not directional. One that is directional is the Black Floral Meadow. Now, if you remember this one, which many of you had. Okay, there is my bag flap. It is actually upside down. So if you want yours to be upside down, have a look at your fabric. Look at the 7.5 inch width. Yours will only be one way, I'm sure, because I had to cut it in one direction. So, but you can turn it one way or the other. So mine is upside down. If you want yours to be the right way up, just make sure your stems and leaves are coming that way. Can you see these are coming down from, and really, I think that is the right way up. You see? So my bag flap, because there's the base of my bag flap is the wrong way, but I like it. So that is the wrong way, unless you want it to be the wrong way. Entirely up to you. Oh, that doesn't matter, Sue. Sue? Oh, blimey. Sue, it doesn't matter. I did say earlier on that you can attach the wadding to either the outer fabric, so absolutely fine, not a problem at all. Just carry on doing it like that. I did say you can do either way. Usually, I would put the wadding onto the outer fabric. It was only because, to make things less confusing, I thought we'll pop it onto the canvas fabrics and then it will be the same for each of the canvas fabrics, but doesn't matter at all. Oh, it doesn't notice, Karen. Well, I only noticed when I showed everybody, and I thought, I think this is the wrong way up. Still looks pretty whichever way. Have I any more of that fabric? Possibly a little bit, Carolyn. Possibly a little bit. I just need to check. I don't know if Alison's here today, whether she got hers, because she had some on an order, and I don't know whether I sent it or not. So I'll have a look for you. Oh, right. Okay, Jack. I like to think that other people are the same as myself. So, getting back to the front panel, the front flap, what we're going to do, I'm going to round both of the bottom edges and at the bottom. Oh, okay, Carolyn. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually draw for ease. So I've got a circular. This is the only circular thing I could find. It's a Woodwick Candles lid. And I'm just going to place that onto my fabric. So let's do it that way. And just so I've got a little curve. So you can find whatever you like and see what, how curved you want your outer to be. So wherever the circle meets the edge, I'm just going to mark around here. Whoops. Okay. Like that. So I've drawn a curve there just so that it's just easier then to cut. Now I could either, can you give the measurements before curving? 7.5 by 8.5. So this is the flat piece, 7.5 inches across. So you're doing the curve at the bottom edge, and it's 8.5 inches long. You'll be able to see it's a rectangle, so you want the rectangle to be portrait. Oh, yes. Oh, that's good, Sue. Oh, you'll be able to concentrate better when you have no one in your charge. Okay, so now I'm going to put the circle on the other side, and then I'm going to draw around there, or just around that curved edge. Now there's what you could also do. I mean, my curves are going to be the same because I've used this and I've made sure it's in the same place, but you could also have folded all of it in half like that, which I think I'm going to do actually, and then just cut through all those layers. Depends on your scissors. Okay. No, I will cut them separately. So just make sure that those pieces are aligned, and then I'm just going to trim on that line on this curve. So you could put a pin in there to hold it if you wanted to, or whoops, let's see, these scissors are working. These are just snips, so I don't expect them to do. So I'm just trimming that off there. That's the other thing I could do. Having trimmed one side, I could then put this as a template on the other side. Unfortunately, I can see those fit perfectly. I'll pop it up the other way. Pop that on the other side, and then use that as a template to be able to cut my next curve. But it does fit where my curved line is. So I'm just going to cut around here as well. So just scissors in there. And if you cut through them together, you know that when we come to stitch, it will fit perfectly. So let's chuck those on the floor. So there I have my, make sure that's together. Now what you could also do, just to keep these, as I say, together, just pop a pin at both ends. There we are. And that's keeping those all nicely together. Okay, so let's go to the machine now. Now, what I would say, if you were going to put a magnetic clasp, you know, with the prongs, I would put my magnetic clasp now It will need to go, this is going to be your flap on the underneath. You would put your first part of your magnetic clasp in here now, before we carry on with the rest. But as you know, we're using poppers, green machine, cam snaps, whatever you like, which means we can finish the whole bag. But if you were going to use a magnetic clasp, which has legs on it that need to be hidden, pop that onto your flap now. Okay, so now I'm going to stitch the whole way around the curved edge. So I'll start from the top. I am going to use just the standard 2.5 setting for my stitch length, and I'm going to reverse there. So let's just stitch all the way, 1/4 inch seam allowance, which is my usual, and then just nice and slowly around the curve, and I'm keeping an eye on the side of my foot, so that's lining up with the edge of the fabric. There we are, all the time, and that's going to, I like to have a nice curve at the bottom, and that means, oh Janet, hello. You could, if you're going to sew along, you could do your flap at this point, but that's lovely, Karen. Now, what does that say? We'll be back in full. We're so spoiled. Oh, well, you enjoy. Okay, so I've just hopefully cut the thread there. I can now take the pins out. Ow, without sticking it into me. Oh, I'm bleeding. Oh my goodness. That is just, oh. Okay, don't stick the pin in you. Let's hope that stops. I suppose I could put a bit of tape on it, couldn't I? Put a bit of fabric adhesive tape. No. Oh, goodness. Goodness. Why would I do that? I can see the blood welling up inside. Right, so I'll let you just carry on and stitch all around that curve, and then you missed that. I've just poked myself with it. So I'm just going to get a plaster, and then by the time I come back, just so I don't get blood over everything, you will have stitched the whole way around the curve, not the top edge here, so not this top edge, but you will sew all around the curve, reversing and at the start and the end. No, not in my password. Give you something my password.
No, it's to get into your PayPal account.
Nobody needs a password.
I get paid into your PayPal account.
All right, well, they won't need a password.
Well, it says password.
No, it's wrong then.
It's wrong.
It's wrong. I'm not giving somebody my password.
No, you're not giving anybody your password.
Well, you're typing, you said you're putting your password.
Yeah, I'm just putting it up to get into your account.
You don't need to. You've been paid into it. You've never done that before.
There's a people I always use.
You never did it before. It's scam.
Oh, well.
Wait till I'm done. Oh, right, I'm back. How are we doing? Okay. Right. There it is, plaster on. Plaster on. It was only a little pin, but little prick into my finger, but it made it bleed. You called an ambulance. Thank you, Janet. Nino. I'll have a drop of water. I'll open this door. Oh, it's getting warm in here again. Unbelievable. Right, so have we, lovely, we have finished our, amazing. I've just had Martin selling a ticket which is going into my PayPal account, and he needs my PayPal password. No, 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 no. If they want a PayPal account, they can have the PayPal address. They're not having my password to pay into. Oh my goodness. He doesn't understand why. Oh, Erica, you cut your finger earlier. Oh. Okay. Next little bit. So where we have curves, as here and here, I want that to, when we turn it to the right side, I want it to be nicely curved. So you can either clip into here around the curves, or you could use pinking shears, but what I prefer to do is trim it. I trim it to about 1/8 of an inch, no less, but and only around the curve, so I can show you how much. So that's how much I've trimmed off, only a little bit, and I'm doing the same on the other side, just around the curve, like so. I'm not trimming anywhere else, not up the sides. Okay, so you can just see there that it's a little bit, is it the like image? You've got to first say, oh, you're unpicking. Oh dear, Jill, okay. So I just trimmed that around there, and then I'm sure you'll be able to catch up, Jill. I'm going to put my hand into the flap and turn it to the right side. So I'm just putting my hand up to the curved edges, pulling that through, like so. And I'm going to put my hand in here. I'm just going to run my finger around those curves. And I will probably, what have I got here? Actually, I've got a paintbrush. But if you've got a curved tool of any sort, I'm just going to run the end of this paintbrush in there just to smooth that out. There we go. Just push that out all the way. Oh, there's a bit of Santa Pod going. Right. Okay. So I'm now going to take it to the ironing board, which I have just brought in here, and I'm going to press it. So I'm going to press it on the lining side, because I can push that out to those edges there quite nicely. And then I'm just going to give that a bit of steam down that side. And then when we come over to the other side and around here, you can just pull your fingers down so that you can get, see that's pressing very, very nicely. So we should be able to press from the other side now all the way over here, and your fabric, that is lovely, is nicely pressed. You've got nice curved edges here. You can also give it a press on the top, so it is beautifully flat. See, I've probably got that the wrong way up. It could be that way or that way, whatever. So I've got nice rounded edges. Okay. Gosh, that's pretty hot. Move that out the way now. So, let's see how we're doing. Found it even. Oh dear. Oh, that's all right, Caroline, sorry. I will see, definitely. Yes, okay. What you could do, Caroline, or those of you who've only just come in, is start on the next bit if you wanted to, because this is just the flap and we don't need to pop it on there at the moment. So you could still get the other bit done as well. Right, so we've got our flap ready. I'm now, and this is entirely up to you, but I'm going to top stitch around this edge. And again, if you want to, or you prefer to have coordinating fabric, I think we're a bit close in there, that's it. If you prefer to use coordinating fabric thread, by all means do. I'm just going to use the same as I did previously. And I'm again going to increase my stitch length to a 3, and I'm just going to stitch about not 1/4 inch, in between 1/8 and 1/4 inch in. So I'm following a line on my foot and I'm going slowly around that curve so that I can try and get it as even as I possibly can, and then slowly into the curve here. And I'm still watching this foot lining up with my edge of my seam. There we go, just so that I can, where I can, just get that as smooth as I can. Okay, so you'll be able to just about see my top stitching there. So you see it's not quite 1/4 inch, or gone in a little bit there, but it's mostly very even all the way around there. Had I used a navy, it would probably been better and you wouldn't notice, but it just finishes it off. Now before I finish the stitching there, not essential, but I like to stitch along this top edge just to hold the layers together, because the last thing you want is when you attach the flap to the main bag along here, that actually that bit slides down. It's easily done and you've got raw edges coming out the top of your bag. So if we stitch about 1/8 of an inch from the edge, just through all the layers, and that means that will be together when we attach it to the main bag. There's no way that that's coming apart. I'm just going to trim those little bits of threads off, but it's just a belt and braces thing. We don't want that. See, there's a little bit of excess up the top there. It could easily slip, and as I say, you've then got a lot more unpicking to do once you've got to that point. So there's our bag flap ready to go. We can now set that aside as well. Where did I put? So if I set it aside there, okay. Okay, so how are we doing? I think lots of us has finished that bit, as in make the flap, make the side panels. Okay, the side panels, these are, looking at this one, this part here. Okay, so here are our side panels, and these side panels, I did this because I know not everybody has a machine that likes to go through lots of layers, and what we usually do is put our little tab in this seam at the top here, don't we? So we've got the canvas folded and our lining fabric folded, plus probably sometimes 8 layers when we put this little bit with the D-ring in the top here. So the tab usually comes out this top bit, really thick to go through. So by doing it this way, it's really quite easy. So we're adding the D-ring to this focal fabric on the side panel. Okay. And I think you will like this for all your future makes of having that particular, this is the new little bit which I really like. So see, Trisha has lost her fabric. How could we possibly do that? But oh, there it is underneath there. Okay, so this is where you need your focus fabrics. So these are the fabrics So it can be grey and black. Okay, so that is going to go up the middle there. Okay. So what we're going to do now, we're back to the ironing board. Let's bring the old ironing board in. How are we doing? Oh, right. Bring the ironing board in again. And we are going to, with both of these pieces here, all we're going to do is have them the right side of the fabric down so that we can press about 1/2 inch in to the wrong side. So you don't have to measure, because in actual fact, even if it's less than 1/2 inch, when we fold the other side in to meet that raw edge, we're going to get the desired width of this focal fabric that we want. Okay, so what we also could do is, I'm looking for, where did I put that? There we are. So, wrong side facing up, we're going to fold about 1/4 inch. It's probably not quite the same there, but, so I haven't measured it, but then because I'm folding the other side, I'm just going to move that over because that's very warm under there. All right, because I'm folding the other raw edge to meet that raw edge, as I say, so no overlapping. You want that to just meet in the middle. Okay, let's just turn that over. And what we should have is 2 pieces that are 1 inch wide, and they are exactly the same. There, you can see they're exactly the same because I folded those pieces in. So in actual fact, I can see that that is fairly even, that's not. But it doesn't matter because we're folding so that the raw edges meet each other, and it means at the end of the day that both of those are exactly the same width. So all is well. Okay, so there's our pieces, which we're now going to take over here to our outer fabric. And all we're going to do now is place centrally from one end to the other. Okay, so that needs to be central. So I'm going to put a pin at the bottom edge, like so. And I'm even, to start off with, I'm going to put a pin at the top edge, just to hold that. Now you can measure if you want to. In actual fact, that's just the tiniest. There we are. So just pin there. We're not going to stitch the whole way up. So I'm going to do that with both of these. So there's the other one. Just gauge it or measure it. But that needs to be right up the centre. Okay. Now, we need our D-rings here. Here are our D-rings. And the D-ring, let's just get another pin. Let's set that one here. Let's put this on its side. The D-ring we are going to slot onto here. So we're going to put that top end onto the D-ring, and then I'm going to fold this piece under. So I folded about 1.5 inches. So you want to have about 1.5 inches, let me do it that way there, from the top. So the D-ring here, so what I'm going to do is just pull that under. We don't want those edges showing there, but I'm just going to pin that in place so you can see that. There's the bottom. The D-ring here is, I'm just going to measure this, 6, yeah. So from the bottom of the D-ring here, I've got the D-ring, I suppose I could put that down there. So from the top of the fabric, I've got 1.5 inches from there to the top. So the rest is folded back underneath, and there is our D-ring. So we're going to do that on both of them, and then, oh, don't worry, Sandra. Oh, use your clapper. That's a good idea. Aha. Jolly good, Karen. Yeah, if there's an easier way, I like it. I'm going to stitch from the bottom all the way up to probably 1/2 inch from the D-ring here, across and back down the other side. Okay, and we're going to do that on both. So I'm just going to pop my D-ring on this other piece. So, whoops, D-ring on. Just slot that piece into it. I'm just judging how much I'm folding back there. But once I have, I can check then. That's probably not the same. There we go. Just flatten that down. I'm just going to put one by the side of the other, line them up, and see if that is just the tiniest bit more. That's it. So once you put one in place, put them side by side, line up at this bottom edge, and make sure they're in the same distance from the top. And then again, pop a pin there, and that holds it exactly in place. So I'm going to stitch from this bottom edge here all the way up to where the pin is, across and back down the other side. So we're going to do that on both those pieces. So again, and with this I'm going right on the very edge, actually. There we go. So I'll go back to my normal stitch length, and ow, just pricked myself again, my goodness. Oh, unbelievable what I am doing. Okay, right, we will stitch up here. There we go. And then roughly when I'm getting near that pin, I'm going to take it out. I'm going to avoid pins completely. Okay, so if, as I say, depends on, I've got about 1/2 inch away from here because I do need to now pivot the work, that piece, and stitch across. And I'm making sure that bit that's folded back is tucked under. I don't really want that poking out the sides. Okay, and then I'm going to pivot around again. So this is where, I'll do it that way, that D-ring you need to pull to the side because it might get in the way for you. So we'll just carry on down the other side, take that pin out and stitch to the bottom. I do need to do something, Karen. I'm having a nightmare. Okay, so there is one side stitched up from the bottom, across here and down to the other end. And I'm going to do that again with this one here. I'm going to take that pin out to begin with, so there's no way that it can stick in me. Okay, so from the bottom all the way up the side. Right, I'm coming towards the piece where it's under. Okay, and I've got to about the same place, so I'm going to pivot round here and go across. Now, as I say, that's hard for me to turn my work that way, so I'm going to turn it the opposite way, so that I'm going to pull that D-ring out of the way and then just stitch down the other side just to hold that in place. Okay, so there I have two of the two side panels all done. So let's see if you can do that. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to have, my finger's not bleeding, so I'm just going to have another slurp of water and okay. So are we Oh, Catherine's done. Fantastic. Are we all following? Are we all finding this all quite straightforward? Hopefully so. Just trim those little bits off there. So, yes. So there are the... Got a little bit... Oh, that's it. That's gone now. Something on there. Okay, so far so good, Sue. That's good. Jeeta's fine. So that's quite... everybody, it's coming along pretty well. Okay. Yeah, I've got no blood left inside me. No. That's where it went. You always knew that pins and me do not go together. That's probably why in years gone by, perhaps I used to get pricked so much that I thought, no, I'm not using pins anymore. Right, haze is ready. Excellent. Okay. So I'm not totally central. Oh, we'll be fine. We'll be fine, Mary. I'm sure we will. Right. Let's just have a look to see what our next side panels. Yes, we have done that. Yes, we have done that. Okay. Okay. Right, yes. This is the way I would have done it. Right. So are we about halfway through? I don't know. Wendy, carry on. Okay, Jill. And Virginia. You always watch the look before you do anything as the tips. I'm still going to play you alongside. Oh, fabulous. That's all right. When you do it tomorrow, absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. Okay. So, now this next piece is simple, but I did it when I was doing, I think, one of these. I can't think which one it was. And I'd forgotten to do something, and I then put them on the wrong way up. But, so, if we move on to the next little bit. So this, at this point, we'd need our main outer. So here is our main outer piece, and we're going to work at one end. So the short ends, which are 7.5 inches wide, will be the top of the bag. Okay, like that. And the side panels are going to fit in here. So those are going to create our bag. So we're going to work at one end. These short ends are always going to be the top. So we need to make sure that our D-rings are at the top. So this one is going onto this side, and this one is going onto that side. So we're going to take our one of the side pieces, the side panels, and we're going to place it right sides together, aligning at that top edge and down this side. So I am going to use a pin again because I need to. Okay, so make sure that is totally aligned at the top there. And then the other side, we've got the other side panel to fit on. That just a little bit. So that one to fit there. And so we're going to put that right sides together, aligning this top edge with the top of the panel. So I will trim away. I've got a little bit of excess wadding there. So let's just, there we go, let's just trim it off. Because it just gives the wrong place to line things up with. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so we are going to pin that just there. So you can see there, we've got them both pinned. The D-rings are at the top because this is the top edge, so we're fine. So all we're going to do now is we're going to stitch from the top down to, Well, you can either go to the bottom or, as I've put in the instructions, 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. Basically, it is just as easy, but I'm going to reverse at the top here, and I'm doing 1/4 of an inch again, so reverse there, and then I'm lining up this edge here. So I'm lining up with the edge of my foot, and just be careful, you might have to pull that D-ring out of the way a little bit and align those edges. And this time I'm going to stitch 2, as I say, you can go all the way if you want to, or about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom, and just reverse there to make that nice and neat. So we have that nicely stitched in place. And I'm then going to go to the other side. Now I am going to turn this around because it's easier to stitch from the bottom upwards, or you could flip your fabric over and stitch down there, but then you can't see the bottom there. So I'm moving that D-ring out of the way towards to my left, and I'm just making sure that is flush to that side, and I'm going to start at the bottom here about 1/4 of an inch up, and I'll just do a little reverse, hold that fabric, those edges right to the side, and then up to the top and reverse, just to hold that nicely in place. Okay, so we now have both sides. Just flip that around, and I've got both sides ready. Whoops, let's just take that up a little bit more so that you can see. So I've got both of those, one side at each side, on attached to our main piece, and especially the D-rings are at the top. Okay, so are we all right here? Careful, I know again, I know. Okay, so are we all right with that? I'll let you stitch. I might ask for a cup of tea actually. I'll let you just stitch that one side. So that's how it looks. You've got the rest of your fabric down here. The long piece is all the way down here, but you're working at one end. Okay. And you've got one on each side. So I'll let you, oh lovely. I've got some lovely quick ladies here. Okay. Just see, there we are. I'll give it a couple of minutes there, and then we'll join the other side. So what do you think I'm doing? I'm about to lift. Oh, the door's come open. So let's just leave that there for a minute. And I'm just going to ask the butler to get me another drink. Maybe a cup of tea, could you please? Yeah. Could I have a cup of tea, please? Thank you. I just fancy a cup of tea. Why not? Okay. Oh yes, there's a few more. A few more. There we go. There we go. Right, so we'll just, if you're still stitching, you can just sort of listen as we're going, and you'll be able to just move on to the next piece. So I'm just, hope I'm not going too fast. One D-ring at the wrong end. It's Joanne, I've done it. Can you all have one? Yeah. 10 cups of tea, please. He said to me, are you talking to me? I do need to replace all the blood. Yeah, you can all have a cup of tea. What did, there we go. Yes. Very easy to do, very easy to do. I did it myself, and it wasn't until I turned it to the right side, and this is the base. This is going to be near the base, or just here is near the base. And my D-rings were down here. Oops. That was quick.
You definitely want tea?
Yeah, I'd love a cup of tea, please.
Oh.
Because I haven't had one for a long time.
No, you haven't, no.
No, 24 ladies would like one as well.
We'll go now.
And a biscuit or cake, please. I think, is there a bit of cake? I can't remember. No, I think he ate the last bit yesterday. Never mind. Oh dear, oh dear. Right. While you're doing that, Joanne, I'm sure you can get that back on. But the next little bit, what we're going to do now is we're going to pull up the other end, because if you remember I said this end here is the other top edge along here. So, oh, not for you. Oh, lovely. Sally's already got one. Happy wife, happy life, absolutely. He's not having my PayPal password though, I tell you. Who in their right minds? When you're wanting to be paid into your PayPal account, it's like when you pay me for fabric. I don't give you my PayPal password, do I? Oh, Virginia, it'd be fabulous if you were all here. I know that man. Oh, that's lovely, Jeeta. Yes, it is lovely, isn't it? And I'm chatting away. It is like we're all in the same room, which I know we are. Anyhow, so I've got the other top edge here. So what we're going to do, if you pull one of the side panels, okay, just hold it and bring it to the edge of, so this is the long edge. So I've pulled up the long edge here. I'm pulling it up and meeting the side panel at the other side that we haven't stitched. So there. I'm going to put a pin in here. Why do I do it? I'm going to put a pin just so that you can see. And then, so you can see on the inside there. So it's just covering where the side panel is. And we're going to stitch all the way down to about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom here, which is going to make a little gap in this bottom edge. Can you see? And that is going to be the base of our bag. So I'm going to do one side at a time. I know, I do too. Right, so I'm going to take this pin out because it's bound to prick me otherwise. Pop this under the machine, and I will just anchor it by reversing so that I can take my fingers away now. And then I'm going to let you see. So I haven't put any pins in, but I'm just making sure this edge is aligned with my side panel there. Let's see if that's better around there. Let's see if that, no, not really. I'm just trying to move this so you can see. Right, so I'm also, you see under there, the D-rings there, I'm just pulling that to the side so it's out of the way, and I'm using my fingers to hold that together down this side. And when we come nearer to the bottom here, we just pull this bit of fabric out of the way, carry on stitching there, just, and I say I'm just lining this up here. Oh, it's here. Did it brew long enough?
Yeah, I think
oh,
so.
thank you.
Put it there.
Okay, lovely. Oh, thank you very much. Okay, and we will just carry on. I'm just stitching down there, and then I can see this end here, so I'm going to put my finger just about where that 1/4 of an inch is. I don't want to stitch it, that's it. So that I just we'll take that off now so that you can see. And what you can see now is, having stitched down there, I've got that gap which we're also going to, I can put my finger in there, pull that across and stitch across there. But first of all, we're going to do the other side first. So moving across to the other side, I can now pull that up so that we have right sides together here. So again, this is coming to the top, aligning that edge, and then we're going to stitch down there. Now this side is easier to see because I can see the base bit here and I can see where this part, this side panel ends. So, oh, Karen just broken a needle. Oh, yes, Sandra, I thought the tea was a bit quick. I don't know how much he brewed it, but never mind. Oh, so yeah, see if you can get your needle in, if you can find a needle, Carolyn. Right, so I'm holding that together. I should put a pin, but pins and me are not going together today. So again, let's just reverse. Now, if your D-ring gets in the way, just pull that. So there is that D-ring in there, little blighter. Just pull him to the side, and so we can carry on stitching down. That's it. I'm making sure that this is still all nicely aligned at the raw edges. And as I say, because we've got the wadding on here, it does keep it nice and stable. Okay, and I might just have to tuck that little bit in, purely, that's it. So I can see, can you see there? I can see the end, whoops, that's my hand. I can see the end of my fabric here. So, oh, there's a wind coming up. Again, almost 1/4 inch from the bottom. But there I have my little gap here, which is going to be my base. So let's see, yeah, there we go. Just keep that, that'd be a more accurate way, side planners, rather than saying, I know. It does, because then you can make this fit down this bottom part here, whatever. Oh, wrong way there. So there's my finger poking out. What's that? Yeah, there it is. So all we're going to do now is just flatten. So I put my finger in the base here, flatten that out and stitch across there. So I may very well stitch from the other side so that I can see. So again, about 1/4 inch in, because it doesn't fit. That's it, just reverse at that end there and keeping all those layers level. Okay, so there I have stitched across there, down there like that. Virginia's done it already, excellent. And then I'm going to do this other side. So I'm going to put my hand in the bag and just poke that little bit out. Okay, and line that up with the bottom. So if you've left that 1/4 inch, it just allows you to splay that across. Okay, and then just hold that out. I'm just flattening it down like that. Take it over to the machine, which I don't think you can see very well there, and then just stitch across that bottom bit, and I reversed into the seam allowance. So again, there it is. Okay, do I ever I do when I can find it, Sandra, but mostly I use the end of the seam ripper to push that through, but my seam ripper has gone AWOL. It was in my little, perhaps it is here. No. So yes, I do, but I haven't got one to hand at the moment, unless it's on there. I don't know where it's gone. Oh no, here it is at the side of my machine. anything pointy. So yeah, I just tend to use the end of that as a stiletto. Good idea too. Oh, goodness. So drop that. Okay. So, have we all got that done to there? Let's just come up a little bit more just while I... So all we're going to do now is turn this to the right side. There we go. So, and then just poke out those corners. You don't want that thread there. So let's just pop that there. And then poke our fingers into this other corner. Okay. And there we have. So there we have the main bag done. So that's our main outer. Now, if you were doing this again, you would be able to do it so much quicker. And it's come together really, really nicely. Excellent, excellent. Oh no, oh Carolyn, don't worry, don't worry. Perhaps one day you could get to a face-to-face one, because then you can just, you know, I'm on hand all the time and can just oversee what you're doing and help all the time. But, so there we have that ready. Now, what do we say? What do the instructions say now? Oh yes, we do put the bag. So at this point, I also like to just pop the bag flap onto here. So the easiest way, I think, of making sure your bag flap is the right way is to position it. So here's my bag, here's the top, and my bag flap is going to sit like that, isn't it? It's going to go over there. So if it was stitched together, that's exactly what it's going to look like. So by doing that, you can then flip it over to the side that it needs to be attached to. Okay, so it's attached to the reverse. It's going to sit centrally, so it should be, as it is here, just between those two seam lines. So again, I am going to put a pin just there and a pin just here to anchor it, and there. So that is, it's a right side to the back, so when you pull that over, that is going to be the front of your bag. These are at the top, so you know you've popped it on the right on the right side. So it's going right sides together with the back of your bag. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to, so that I have no pins sitting in here when I'm doing the rest, I'm going to stitch along the top about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. So I can do it from this side, and I'm going to stitch about 1/8 of an inch from the edge just to hold that all together. So we can increase our stitch length a bit as well, because it's only like a tacking stitch, and it is going to be hidden. Okay, that's fine. You can always catch up on the rest afterwards. So I'm just taking that pin out. Okay, and I've stitched across the top, so it's held together. It's going to be hidden out of the way, and that bag flap is going to come across like that. So we know that's ready for the next step. So, yeah, okay. You can't concentrate on both. Oh dear. Never mind. You've done well so far, just doing what you have. So, I'm now going to set that aside, because we are going to, I think, we're going to do, gosh, there's lots of content in this. Yes, we're going to do the lining with the zipped internal pocket. Okay. How are we doing? Okay. Shall I just have a quick slurp? I thought it might take till 5, and I think it will do, you know. So if I have a quick slurp, oh, that's quite, I haven't had a cup of tea for a while. Oh, Jeeta's ready, fantastic. And Mary, well done all of you. But as I say, if anybody wants to, you know, you've done so well so far, don't push it if, you know, if it's making you a bit anxious and a bit, you know, just stop. Because as I say, the video is going to be here. You can do the rest at your leisure, at your own pace. Absolutely fine. So don't feel that you've got to crack on and then things go wrong and it's very frustrating and it just, sometimes it puts you off, doesn't it? But I know you can all do this and you'll love doing it. But as I say, perhaps you feel that it's a little bit too pressurised at the moment, but it's not a problem at all. And as I say, if you've got the instructions sitting by the side of you as well, you'll have a double whammy to be able to see what's going on. Okay. Sonia's asleep, Zed. You're not on the zombie. I know. No, there's no bell. No. Right, ladies. 63 minutes to go. No. I did sew the flap on, Virginia. Too much information. Yeah, I sewed the flap on because once upon a time, you know, in years gone by, I used to use pins holding the flap to the top of the bag. Then I used to put the lining fabric and put a few more pins, and pins just get in the way. So now I just do holding stitches along the top and pins have gone. Okay, that's all right, Carol. You can do it whenever you're ready to. Sonia's still enjoying. Jolly good. Oh, that's fine, Karen. Susan wishes you had your sewing machine here. Oh, won't be long, Susan. Won't be long. Okay, shall we move to the... Yes, first of all, we will move to the zipped pocket. Now, I haven't, in my samples, I haven't got a zip pocket in them. And I did make one with a zip pocket, but it's gone along to the venue for the workshop that I'm doing face-to-face on the 6th of June. So I can't actually show you that, but you know what an internal zip pocket looks like, don't you? And in this case, so this is how we are going to do it. So I've got my lining fabric. So the lining fabric, as you can see here, this is the length. And again, the short edge is the top of the bag. Both short edges to the top. Oh, are you not seeing comments? Oh my goodness, Karen. Perhaps go in and come back out to go out and come back in again. Oh. So we are going to take our pocket piece, which is it 7 by 10, something like that, and we are going to place that. Well, it's not crucial at the minute where it's placed, but it will be at the top. So I'm going to put that at the top. It leaves about 1/4 inch each side. Okay, so we'll put a pin in there and there. And I'm lining it up with this top edge. Just makes life easier when we're doing the stitching. Yeah. Yeah, swipe again, like Janet says, just to see. Right, so what we're going to do, I've lost all of my rulers, but so I have a ruler here. And what we want to do, so I've pinned the pocket to the right side of our lining fabric, and I am going to, on the wrong side of the pocket fabric, draw a horizontal line 1 inch from the short edge, top edge, and 1 inch in from each side. Aha. So I've got to have this, so I'm putting my ruler 1 inch from the top. So where is my inch? And I'm lining this up because Oh dear, I don't like this ruler. So there's an inch, there's an inch. So an inch from the top and an inch in from each side. So let's do it with a pencil. So I've got my ruler an inch from the top edge of the fabric. Oh, sorry, I jolted that a bit too much, didn't I? An inch from the top. Oops, that's rubbish. Let's move this over a bit. So I can see my fabric under here. So I'm going an inch down. I'm just going to judge it there. And I've lined this, so I want my line to be an inch in from the edge of the pocket each side. So what it's going to give me is a 5 inch. It's going to give me a 5 inch wide pocket. Okay, so I've drawn that. So there's my first line. Gosh, does that look very straight? Oh, goodness. Yeah, up a little bit. There we go. So you want a line that is 5 inches long centrally. Let's do that line across there. Okay. And then I want ½ an inch below. Now what I would normally do, I've got a ½ inch line there, so I'm going to do that. I'll put that ½ inch line on there, and then I draw a parallel line below it. So, oh, it's from this edge, isn't it? Ugh. 1 inch there, 7 there. Line that parallel line up. I'm just going to, there's not enough space. So ½ an inch below, along that same line there. And then I'm just going to join that end, so that I've got a rectangular box. Can you see that rectangular box there? And just as a reminder, I just put a little angled line going into that corner. It's going to rain, and that corner, because that's where we're going to clip into, and we're also going to cut right along that centre as well. So the first thing we're going to do though is stitch along the drawn line of that rectangle, and I'm going to stitch with a lower stitch length. I'm going through cotton, 2 layers of cotton, so I'm reducing my stitch length so that I've got nice small stitches and make it very easy to work. So let's come into here, and I'm not starting at a corner. I'm always going to start a little way along the drawn line, and I'm just going to stitch across here. I'm going to take that pin out, and when I get to that corner, I'm going to pivot and stitch down, and I'm going to pivot again, and I'm just stitching on the drawn line the whole way, like so, up to this next corner piece here, and then pivot again, up that line, whoops, not too far, and then come back to meet, no, I'm coming back to meet my stitching, and then I do 2 or 3 stitches or 4 past where I started, and that means then that is totally secure. Okay, so if you want to do your stitching, you perhaps haven't drawn your line yet, draw your line. So this is 7 inches across, so your line is going to be 5 inches, and it will be central, so there'll be an inch in from each side. It's an inch down from the top, making it even easier. And then this is about ½ an inch. You could do it a little bit narrower than ½ an inch if you like, because this is where the zip is going to fit into here. So let's see. Zips are your favourite thing. Lovely. Okay, Sally, no problem. Oh, it worked. Jolly good, Karen. You're back again. Jolly good. I don't know what. It's because probably we've been on for quite a little while. Yeah, I've used half my battery. I wonder if it shows my battery there. Oh, 37%. Oh, I hope we last. I just hope we do. Okay. So, give me a thumbs up when you have finished your stitching. And then we can move on to the next little bit. There's not that much to do, I must admit. I'm wondering if I ought to get my... Yeah, so while you... Oh, wow! Oh, wow, ladies, you are brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I tell you what will be nice if... when you've finished off your bags, you can put them, pictures of them in Sew Trisha Sews. Gosh, I'm waiting for the rain to come down. It's gone really dark. On the plus side, I can see the screen a lot better than when the sun's shining so much. Okay. Okay. Brilliant. Right, so the next thing you can do, which you probably know already. Oh, here it comes. Is we can cut along the centre. So where I've got these dashed lines here, what I do is I just fold that up in the middle like this, and then I just do a little snip, and only a little one, just to make my first hole in the fabric, okay? And then I can snip along, roughly along the middle, like so, and then into these corners. Now, to get nice, neat corners when we've pressed it, if you get as closely into, without cutting the stitches, as closely into those corner points as you possibly can, then let's turn to the other way. So always go from the centre out towards the edges, like that, and then a little bit further into that corner, right up to that stitching, and again here, right up to that stitching. Try not, there we are, to clip the corners. Okay, so we've now got that, and all we're going to do now is we're going to post the rest of the pocket lining and this top one through the hole. So post that through, and with the other one, like so, and like so, pop that through. And then at these corners here, just give the corners a little tweak. I'm just getting it between my two thumbnails and just tweak it. If you still get puckers, you may have to go back in and just cut into that corner just a little bit more. You see that there's no, without even pressing, there's no puckering there. Tiny little bit here at the minute, but let's just tweak that and just pulling it a little bit, and that's gone as well. But we will make it definitely go when we press. So while you're cutting, I'm just going to roll those seams to the edge like that, and I'm just nail pressing along there before I press properly. So we want the edge of the pocket lining and the edge of the lining to line up, but we also want that edge of the seam there rolled out right to the edge. Okay, so I'm going to leave that just for a minute while I pull in the, I don't think I need that now. Let's just pull in the ironing board again, and we will press the, oops, as if I dropped it there. So I'm now working, whoops, I'm working with the long lining wrong side of facing this way. So we're working on the back of the pocket. So I can give this, it's still hot, I can give this a little press along this top edge. There we are, so let's do that first of all. So just press that along there, and then let's just turn that way. I want to roll this seam here right to the edge, and if we pull at the side as well, that will get that nicely to the edge, and there as well. So we can then give that a nice press. I think that's only just warmed up. I'll turn it to the other side, and let's give that a press on there. So that is looking nice and neat, and on that side also. Let's see. Here we are. All that needs to come up just a little bit. I could see my pocket lining wasn't quite in line, so that is just how we want it to be. No puckering here, which is great, just what we want it to. Okay, so next thing is, let's take it back to the machine. Now, if you have got some sticky, the wash away tape, which I have, wash away tape, we're going to put that on the back. So I'm going to put that along the long edges of this. So let's just make sure that is nice and tacky. That a little bit at the beginning quite often goes a little bit dry. I should put it in a plastic bag really. So I'm going to put that right to the edge of the opening here. So I'm just putting that down there, and I will be burnishing it. I'm going to rub it down carefully or thoroughly so that it really sticks to the fabric. You do have a, there we go. Put that back in there. So I'm just going to run my nail along there because I want that tape to really stick. Sometimes if I don't do this, it comes up and I just think, what are you doing? Okay, so now let's just see. There we are. I'm just using my thumbnail. See if I can, no. It's decided that's not going to come up. Oh, that's it, easily. There we go. So now I can just, oh dear, there, stick that down, pull up the liner, there we go. So there's the liner there, it seems to be coming up just a little bit. And then this side as well, let's just, perhaps because of the heat of the cotton. Oh yes, use my iron. I should have done that, shouldn't I? Well, let me see if that works. I'll do it on this other piece. Oh. Doesn't really like plastic, I must admit. Perfect, perfect. Forgot about that. I had, oh, perfect. Thank you, Suzanne. Perfect. That was much, much better. I wish I'd done it on the other bit as well. Thank you. Thank you. I'd completely forgotten. Can you give measurements for the box? My instruction, which I am watching. Give measurement for box. The box is the aperture here. Mine doesn't turn in. Have you cut it, Virginia? Have you cut the fabric? So you needed to cut in that rectangle up the middle and into those corners to be able to tuck it through. And the box, Wendy, it will be 5 inches long by 1/2 inch deep. Oh, you sorted it. Fantastic, Virginia. What do you hover the iron over the tape? I did. Sorry, yeah. I didn't bring it into that. You wouldn't be silly, Virginia. I know you wouldn't. Yeah, I just ironed the tape. So this edge here had still got the white liner tape on it. So I just run the iron over it and the heat set it. Fabulous, as long as it's still tacky. Yep, it is. Okay, so now I'm going to put my zip. My zip is too long, but that's what I wanted. Now this is another occasion. I'm just going to iron the zip on the reverse. So I'm just going to take it to the ironing board very quickly. That's it, just to make that nice. That's it, so it's nice and smooth. And I'm going to put my zip with the zip pull facing up, and then I'm going to hover the gap, the box that we've made here, over the top. So I'm making sure so that I can give an even, that's it, I'm making that the tape appear evenly each side. Can you see there? I might even, I wonder if that would stick it even more if I, so I'm just going to get away with running my nail along here, just to keep the tape sticking to the zip. Oops, that's not very good, is it? There we are. So I've got my zip under there. So now I'm going to stitch all the way around the edge. 1 inch down and 1 inch in from the sides, yeah. So I just made it easy by being 1 inch down and 1 inch in, which, so it's 7, it was 7 inches for the pocket measurement. So the box is going to be 5 inches by ½ an inch deep. So I'm going to do again, let's just put that, oops. My thread out of the way there. And I'm just going to stitch around the edge here. So again, I'm not starting at corners, always start part way along, and we'll go up to a normal size stitch length. So we will just stitch along here, and what we'll find is this wash away tape, it doesn't make my needle sticky. I never find that it affects. Oh, it's just started to rain. One more, there we go. And as long as we don't thunder or lightning. Okay, so I'm just carrying on stitching along here. Now I may have to open this zip a little bit because I'm quite close to the edge. There we are. So I will stitch past the opening so that I can go then pivot here and stitch across the end of the zip there. One more, and then pivot again and just carry on until I get to where I started. And again, I'm going to go 2 or 3 stitches over where I started. And then, apart from the fact I'm using cream thread, which is not wonderful, there I have that all fitted in nice and neatly. Okay, so open that up. There's nothing behind it at the minute, but there will be. So I'll let you see, tell me when you've done that. And once you've got your zip stitched, I would just flip it over and you can trim away, there we go, trim away the excess zip. Okay, to about, I don't know, 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch. So I have trimmed that away. So there is the back of my pocket. There is the front. Oh, Mary's done, well done. Okay. And then once your zip is in, turn it over and trim those away. And while you're doing that, I'm going to have, let me just see my 30%. I might have to go and get the charger. So if the zip pull won't go past the needle, see if you can lift the presser foot even higher. It should go up a little bit higher rather than just half up. Just push it a little bit more upwards and you should be able to get your zip past the needle. Now, I'm just going to get the charger because I don't want to run out of charge. Let's get us plugged in so that we don't run out of charge. Rain started coming down, but it is quite light at present, which is always good. Right, put that on there. Fabulous. Right, that means I'm here for the duration. Okay. Lovely. That sounds as though we are about ready. So with the wrong side up, so here is our pocket. Oh, I've just pressed it. Oh dear. Pressed the wrong thing, sorry about that. I went up to the conservatory roof, didn't I? Wrong side up. So here is the rest. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's it. Here is the rest of the lining down here. We're just going to take the end of the pocket and lift it up and line that up with the top edge. Okay, the top edge. And we're just going to then sew this short side edge and the short edge here. Oh, here comes the rain. So all I'm going to do is hold these. I'm going to go across the top last, but just align that short edge. Move the lining piece out of the way so that I can just stitch along there. So 1/4 inch seam allowance as per usual. And stitch all the way up the side, and then I'm going to do exactly the same with this opposite edge as well. So align that edge, move this part out of the way because all we want to do is go through the pocket layers and stitch. You don't really need to go to reverse at the top there actually. I will reverse at the bottom because we don't want a hole in our pocket. Okay, so I've stitched up. So there is my pocket. And now all I'm going to do is stitch about 1/8 of an inch, but along this top. And that will secure it to the top of the lining as well as enclose that pocket. So straight across there. Straight across. I'm going to lightly put, oh no. I bet that's coming to me. I bet it is, but I hope not. Okay, so now we have our zipped pocket with lining. Okay, so let's see if you can do that. The best inserted zip you've ever done. Fabulous, Isabel. That is lovely to hear. It just shows, doesn't it, when if you're having somebody talk you through it the whole way, yeah, it just works. And just those little things to think about. Fantastic. Fantastic. So let me know when you've stitched your pocket and we will be ready to move on to making up the rest of the lining, which actually is just the same as how we made the bag, apart from one thing. Well done, Gita. One thing is that we are going to leave a gap in one of the sides. Oh, never mind. Absolutely. Joy, just have a watch and enjoy, and you can watch it afterwards. Yeah, I'm glad. Do you know, Caroline, it actually is quite easy, but and this is what I love doing. I love doing things that look as though there's a lot of thought. I mean, obviously I do put thought into things, but it is much easier than the end result looks, which is always good. Nice cup of tea. Okay, so lining with the pocket right side up now, and then if you can find then your other lining side pieces, which are my two short ones, and we are going to again get that bit out of the way. We're going to put right sides together. Here is the top, because my zip is at the top of the bag, still hanging in there. Well done, Sharon. Well done, Phyllis. So we're going to put the lining piece, side panel lining, to the top there. And I always think, because we do need to leave a gap in the lining for turning. So if we do it on the first piece, if we say we're going to do it on the first piece, if we forget, we've got the second side, haven't we? And then we've got the third and the fourth. So I'm going to do it on the very, no, in fact, yes. I'm going to do it on the very first one so that I don't forget. So, line up with that top edge. And again, I am going to reverse at the top. And I'm going to stitch to about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. Whoops, there we go. Okay. So, keep that lined up. And, oh, I said I was going to leave a gap, didn't I? Yep. So you see, I nearly forgot there. So I've stitched about to where the zip is. And then I'm going to move the fabric down to, I don't know, a couple of inches from the bottom. And then I'm going to stop about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom there. So, as you can see, I've got a big gap here. I've left a big gap, that's for turning, and I've got that first side in there. So I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. I'm going to stitch down here. I'll turn it over so that I can see the edge of the pocket's going to catch there. But that's okay. So reversing at the top and then stitching all the way down here. And because that's underneath, I'm just looking to see where that 1/4 inch is and stitch that together. So you recall seeing something that looked just like that when we've got the two side panels attached. So now we've remembered to put our we've remembered to do our opening for our turning, so that's great. So all we need to do now is concentrate on stitching the sides to the other half of our bag lining. So right sides together to the top, and then we're going to stitch all the way down here, which to about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. So you can do that on both those sides, just like we did for the outer. So just make sure that's really lined up at the top. I feel that I need to get a speed on now because I don't want thunder and lightning here. So I'm going to stitch down here, and as I say, I am going to stitch down the other side as well. So let's just get that a little bit closer there. Okay, and I need to pull that out just that little bit, don't I, just to see where I'm going. There. Oh, it stopped. That's fabulous. Okay. And then on the other side, I'm going to do exactly the same. Pull that lining, the side panel to the top, line that up there, and oh, it stopped. Fantastic. And then I'm just holding that together, stitch down, and this side, because this is my side panel, I can see where the end is. So I'm just lining that up, as I said, and just keeping that aligned and reverse. Okay, so I have my bag lining is together. There we go. I've got my gap in the lining for when I come to turn. Excellent. I just need to close these gaps at the bottom of the bag. So just put my finger in there. I'm just going to pull that open, and then I'm just going to stitch across that bottom. And I am going to reverse at each end because we want that to stay closed. So there is that one. And then the other side as well. If I just pop my finger in there and then just pull that open and flatten it down. I've got my fingers pushing down on that just to keep that together, and reverse and across and reverse. Okay, so there we have our lining. Okay, so is that I think that's what is telling me to do it. Well, that's it, that's fine. So now we're going to put the bag together, and we're nearly done. So where did, oh, here it is. I thought that was the bag. Right, so I have my outer. So here is my outer ready done with my flap. Now just, we keep the outer bag with the right sides on the outside, but we leave the lining where the right sides are on the inside, because when we put the outer bag into the lining, we've got right sides facing, which is what we want. Now, what you do need to think is where you want your zip to be. So if you want it at the back of the bag, you put the flap piece, yes you do, I'm just thinking it myself. You need the flap piece near the zip, because when we pull the zip over, it's going to come over to the front. So let's just pop that in. So if we just scrunch it a little and pop our bag in like that, I'm just going to push my hand into those corners and really push it down, because I want to line up these side seams. So, and I'm going to get the pins out again. So I'm going to push that in. There is my side seam. I should really get my binding clips out. So pin in at that seam, pin in at this seam. Oh, I'm glad it stopped raining. And then around to the other side here. I'll put my hand in again just to push the corner right down, and then it means my seams are easy to find. So there is my seam there. They're nicely aligned. And my seam here, aligned there. Okay. There we go. And then we can just pull that up. So the flap is just in there. So we'll push that right down, and it's nice to be able to just put a pin in there, or a binding clip would be even better, to be honest, but it's just, oh, that's through the zip. There we go. And then around the front, and you see how perfectly that fits without pinning. That is just how it, which means that it's nice and consistent. There we are. So I pin, you can put more pins in if you'd like to, but my seams have been nice and consistent for that to fit so nicely without, sometimes we get a few little bulges, but I would just, if you've got excess lining, I would just give it a little pull or even that out across. So if your lining is too big, find the centre spot and mark it in the centre and pin it at the centre here, and then sort of even it out. So you'll have a little bit there, so mark in the centre, pin in the centre, and then pull in the centre again, and each time you'll be spreading that excess fabric about. So now we need to stitch all the way around the top. When do you add the fastener to the flap? It was only if you're adding a magnetic clasp, you should have done that before we did the flap, because I said before we stitched around the edge of the flap, I said if you're using a magnetic clasp, you need to pop that in the canvas fabric first. It's usually the lining fabric, but the canvas was in the flap. You don't need to put the fastener on if you're using what we're using, or using green machine to put your magnetic clasp, S-spring clasp or whatever, because that gives it's got a nice back that sorts front and back, so you don't need to. And also, would you use dark or light thread? Around here I'm going to use light thread, but I will need to use a dark thread when I stitch on the top of my canvas. Your line is never as neatly as this. Ah, but now they are. And you've done the flap. Lovely, Virginia. Before you sew the flap in place and the other, before you sew the flap in place and the other bit, before you sew the gap in the lining. Yes. Oh, before you, yeah. Yeah, so before you put the flap here. So with the flap, I actually stitched across the top. If you're putting a magnetic clasp in, that should have been in before stitching across the top. But if you hadn't stitched across the top, you would still have been able to do that. Okay. So, what I'm going to do, because I haven't got a free arm on this machine, I've got to do it flat. But for most machines, if I was using another one, I would take off the accessory tray so that you could pop this over the free arm, so that you could stitch easily around there. But because I haven't, I'm going to stitch on the inside here. So you won't probably be able to see this very well, but let's just pull it up a little bit higher just so that you can. So I am sewing on the inside and coming around like this. I mean, some of you may do that anyway. So let's just, I don't want to prick myself again because it's happened so many times. So I'm sewing as far as I can, and then I have to pull this around a bit to get a nice long straight to be able to stitch. Okay, now what you'll notice with this bag technique is that what usually would have happened at this point, you would have hated going over the side panel because it was so bulky, but it isn't. It's just your normal layers of fabric. Whoops, that's it. Well, that's opened up a bit, but never mind. And then I'm just going across the top edge of the flap and where the pocket is. Okay, and we'll carry on stitching here. Straight across there. So we're on to the side panel again. Easy peasy. Let's just keep that laying down. And we're nearly the other side. So it isn't the largest opening. So I finished going all the way around there. Oh, you were right, okay. You've done the flap, it's the other half. Oh, it's the other half. Oh, the other half of, for the magnetic clasp, yeah, we'll put that in before we close the gap. Okay, so now it's time. So I'll wait till you've done that. Oh, the magnet, yes. Okay, Virginia, so At this point, we need to turn it through first of all. So I'm going to go into the gap in the lining. Let's just see, we are here. So I'm going to put my hand in and just scrunch that bottom bit and pull the bag out. Okay, like so. And now if you've got a magnetic clasp to put in, you're not going to close this yet. But what we are going to do is we're going to pop this down. That's it. Right, let's just cut those bits of thread out of the way. We're going to tuck the lining into the bag so that it looks like we have finished. So we'll tuck that down into here, like so, poking my hands down into the corners. You only need to do it roughly. You could do your pressing now if you want to, or not, as the case may be. But what I would do now is bring your flap over. So let's have a look. Let's pretend your bag clasp is where this pin is. I would then bring the flap over like that. Just make sure you've looked at the top here, so where your gussets, your side panels are, and give the flap a little bit of leeway there. And then when your flap is down like so, center it. So there's your side seams there. And then I would lift this up, and where this pin meets the main part of the bag, I would put another pin. So I would put that just there. Okay, so I know that's where my other part of the magnetic clasp needs to go. So I'd make a little hole there, or the two holes for the magnetic clasp. Then pull your lining back out, put your hand into the lining, and you feed your prongs through where we've done the holes here. And then if you grab hold of that and pull up through the lining, that's when you then splay the prongs and put your washer on, splay the prongs, and then you can put it back in, and your magnetic clasp is securely attached there, the second part. Then you can carry on with closing the gap. Okay. Oh, Catherine, you got to that point. Fabulous. So let's take that pin out. So that's if you're using a magnetic clasp or a clasp that needs that has got those prongs on, which need to be hidden. So it may be that I've had bead clasps and other little ones with little screws, and it still goes on a finished flap, but the other part to be secured. So the push clasps or the twist clasps is just one part, which would be at the end that I've just shown you, that needs to be inside of this part. So if you're using any closure like that, don't close the gap in your lining before you've got that second part on. Fabulous. Okay. So shall I go on to, while you're doing that, just closing the gap in the lining, because I think you'll probably know exactly how to do this. So I'm just folding in. I've done quite a long opening because it makes it easier to pull the bag through. So I'm just creasing, finger pressing, nail pressing 1/4 inch along there, like that, so that I can hold those two together and that lines up nicely for stitching. So I should have just pulled those corners out. I can just put a pin in there. Oh, I'm using pins so much today, aren't I? Okay, and then, so if I put the pin at the bottom, I can then stitch along here. So those raw edges are on the inside, and start just near the top, as in here, and then I usually just reverse just a little bit, and then I'm just going to tuck those raw edges in, and then I stitch very close to the edge. Oh, there we are, very close to the edge, just to make sure that all of that is stitched through and we don't have an opening. So let's stitch down there. Let's take that pin out, pop it out of the way, and then just carry on stitching down that side and cut that bit of thread. There must be a bit of thread near the top. Yes, there it is. Let's just trim that away. Trim. Okay, and then give that a pull just to make sure there are no gaps. Perfect. And then we can tuck that straight back into the bag again. Okay, so again, I'm pushing my fingers right down here to push that lining inside and there. And what you'll find is when it's pushed inside, this part, the top, it just pulls it all the way down, but I would still give that a press. So I am going to get the iron back in, and what I do, like a bit of best press around there. So I do want there we are. So I am going to put a bit of best press on here because I'm pushing that lining away. This flap looks so neat and clean. So let's just give that, that's it, I think that's, yeah, give that a look. And then just press on that inside edge. We want that to be really, really neat there. Okay, and then what I would do is just turn this a little bit. We can push those D-rings out of the way, and I might turn that flap back so that you can see. Pull that lining down there so that you can get to the side panel. So I'm still going to, whoops. So there is my side panel, and I'm going to get my iron in here and just iron that nicely as well. And then we can go to the front. So again, we don't want the lining showing above here, so really push that in because we're going to give that a press as well. If you can get in with a smaller iron down a bit further, even better. But that top edge is really, you want to give that a good press so it's nice and crisp and flat. Okay, so I'm just onto this other side one as well. My hands are probably in the way there, but that's it. We'll give it a little bit of the best press again, and then get the iron in there. There we go. And before I've top stitched all the way around, you can see already that it looks really neat. So the pressing does make a difference. Let's just get that little bit of, and there, that's it. So then that can come over there, like so, and that's nice and neat right around that top edge. Okay, so let's take that back to here. So, okay, so we've got the, how are we doing? Oh, not bad, not bad. Okay, so the next thing would be to stitch around the top here. Bit of messy there. Around the top, and Again, if you've got a free arm, so if you can take off your accessory box, it is far easier to stitch. I would stitch on the top. Now, let's just have a look. I'm just wondering whether I can change. It's hard to, I want to do it properly, and as I say, I would do that on another machine as opposed to this one, which I've done in the past. So now for your, what do you do here? Your press studs. If you want to, if you're using the pressers like so, I suppose we could have stuck that on, but you can hand stitch that into place there. Well, I would put my top one on first. So find the centre, give that a measure, and pop that in centrally there. And then, let's just see, I don't know if I can pin that in place. So you would just hand stitch that. Don't go through to the front fabric, but just hand stitch that. Oh, where are we? Just hand stitch that through the canvas. I would probably do 2 or 3 stitches just underneath, over the top, into each one. And then similarly for this one here, you can put your hand in and you can feel that you're just going through the canvas. You could, I suppose, have attached that before we close the gap in the same way that we did with the magnetic clasp, but it can still quite easily be done. Or, as I will probably do with this one, add a clasp with the green machine. Or one could, just seeing if I've got a nice cam snap. No, I'm giving it to my mum, so it would be better not to do that. So I will do that other bit shortly, but all we need to do now is to pop on our bag handle. So I am just going to hold that closed with a pin. So let's just hold that closed with a pin like so, and then we just use the swivel clasp to add to the sides. Is it a 1/4 inch for the top stitching? Yes. If you would like to, I'll show you on the ones I've done. Sometimes I do it 1/4 inch, sometimes I do it 1/8 inch. All I'm doing now is putting the swivel clasp on there and on this other side here. Okay. So there is our completed bag. Neat all the way around. Let me show you. Oh, there's words now. Oh, lovely. You're going to, yes. Okay, I have got comments up here now. Blimey, doesn't it take a time? So that is almost 3 hours for, we are 5 to 5. What perfect timing, how did I know? It's taken you 3 hours for comments to come up on the screen here, because I can see Janet saying fabulous demo on the phone, and then the first one to come up was Joanne's comment. Okay, so on here I have probably done 1/8 inch around the top there. I have a feeling or sometimes I do 2. Thank you, Lindsay and Karen. Okay. Yeah. So that one I've done 1/4 inch. As you can see, I had black thread in my bobbin as well. It may be that you prefer to put cream in your bobbin to go with your, or off-white to go with your lining. Oh, lovely, lovely Linda and Caroline. I'm glad you have enjoyed. I think the rain is just coming again. I'm just going to have a look here. Yes, this one, whoops, might be a thread there. That one's a 1/4 inch. Oh, jolly good Yvonne. I am so pleased. I'm so pleased. It hasn't gone too badly at all. So yeah, that one's got about, yeah, you see, when's the next one? Thank you, Sharon. Yes. So yes, I use grey thread there to go with the lining of the grey and black. Don't you just, oh, we must do it again, Virginia. And I know we will. The mistake you made put me off sync. Oh no. But you've done the gap and size. Fantastic. Thank you, Amanda and Janet. Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. Okay, so whichever you may have had, fabulous, Mary. You did keep up, didn't you? I mean, it really doesn't matter if you didn't. I don't want anybody to be under pressure way in so chuffed. Look, I'm very nearly finished. Oh, I know. Where did that 3 hours go, Dorothy? That's just what I thought. When I looked, first time I looked at the clock, it was 3:20. And we only had about 10 minutes at the beginning to chat. Good, great. And Jack's finished. Fantastic. I heard you then. You went, yes. Just like I did when Manchester United won the FA Cup yesterday. Yes. That made for quite an enjoyable evening. Usually, I don't follow football all the time, but they are my team. I'm sorry, I shouldn't go on about football, should I? But I was very pleased. So 1, 2, 3. Let's just see what I did on this one as well. Okay. Oh, that's stuck between the table. Oh no. Oh, I've done that one even closer, if you can see. That one's perhaps even less, but whatever you like. And I did, or didn't I? Yes. I even went all the way around the top here. So depending, it may be you want to stop here. Perhaps you don't want to go across there. But it's whatever you decide to do. And I hope what I thought, oh, this was when I did I've done 2 rows of stitching around the bag flap here. Can you see that there? 2 rows around, so you could do that. If you wanted to, you could do a 2nd row on the thing here. But I do hope you like this way of adding a side that you can put your D-ring on, because I tell you, it does really stop any risk of having to go through lots of fabric at the top here. So, oh goodness. Oh no, there are some more there. Oh, they didn't start going up. Can't believe you made it. Well done, Sharon. I will do another one. I promise you I will. Thank you, Sandra. Okay, Carolyn. No problem at all. You've had a lovely afternoon. Yeah, go and make your dinner. I've thoroughly enjoyed this afternoon, I must admit. And the time has just gone by just like that. And Phyllis, you've learned so much, really enjoyed it, looking forward to the next one. I do need to put my feet up, don't I? Yes, I will, Karen. And I've got no grandchildren tomorrow, so I'll be thinking about the next one. How about that? Just got a little table runner, bed runner to make tomorrow for Tuesday evening. That's what. Does give a lot more character, doesn't it? Yes. Thank you, Elaine. Finish it later, as you can't read cutting stone. Oh no. Well, it can be made into something else, I'm sure. But you've done so far, looks good. Fabulous. Thank you, Gita. Lovely. Well, I haven't stitched around the top, have I, Karen? So you've done extremely well. Thank you, Christine. I have earned feet up. Okay. don't do gin though, Virginia. Vodka was my thing. I might have a little Prosecco. How about that? And you just finished, Joanne. Fabulous. I will, Linda. Indeed, I will. Thank you, Jack. You got your granddaughter tomorrow, Catherine. I haven't. Daddy's off tomorrow, so I've got a day off. I've got them Tuesday, Wednesday, which is why I need to get my act together to get everything ready for the rest of the week. So, Christine managed to mess up the lining pocket, but we've rescued it. Fabulous. Well done. So, as I say, if you go to make another one in, this video is going to be in the group ad infinitum. So, if in a year's time you think, oh, I want to make another one of those bags, but I can't remember, just come into this group and you'll always be in it to be able to access it. Have a look again, and if you've lost your instruction pack, print another one off, do whatever you like with it. But all I can say is thank you so much for joining me on this very first sew along. You got the builders. Never mind, not too much noise. Yeah, thank you for joining me. As I say, we had not everybody was watching today, but I knew that, but there were 77 people signed up, you know, either with the kit or without, and it absolutely doesn't matter which way. But I'm really glad that you've enjoyed it. As I say, pop some. Oh dear, Dorothy just finished. Fabulous, fabulous, Dorothy. Pop your pictures in. Well, you can pop them in the group if you'd like to. I think perhaps we'll have an album in this group, and or perhaps not. Perhaps just pop them in there. And shall we put them in Sew Trisha Sews? Perhaps we should. If you want to put your make in Sew Trisha Sews, a lot more people might want to join another sew along next time. Can't have too many though, can we? You know the little crossbody bags, they just hold your mobile and a tiny purse. Lovely. Yes. Yes, so this is a crossbody. It's a nice size because, yes, it will hold your mobile, even the bigger mobile phones, and a tiny purse, and all sorts. Oh, thank you, Cheetah. Jolly good. Right, I am going to get that another cup of tea because I've only had that one cup of tea, haven't I? So I'll need another. I think I will put my feet up. Martin can make my dinner tonight, which will be a bit of salmon. So Trisha Sews would be better. Yeah. Okay, Lindsay, thank you. So, yeah, pictures in So Trisha Sews, which would be absolutely fabulous. So that everybody can see it off. See, you can show off your makes of today. So, yes, I'll stop wittering now. Have a lovely evening, everybody. And as I say, thank you for joining me. There will be more. And I look forward to it, and I hope you do too. So, bye for now.